Major changes on the cards as far as the judiciary is concerned. Lawyers and academics will now be considered for appointment to the Constitutional Court. Chief Justice Raymond Zondo says he has already appointed 2 lawyers and 1 academic to serve on the highest bench in the land. Now, the Constitution does not preclude non-judges from serving as justices of the apex court. But tradition has held for decades that only those who have gone through the ranks would be considered. Who better to discuss this with us than constitutional law expert Pierre de Vos. Good morning, Pierre. Good to have you with us once again. So why is it that Chief Justice Zondo has decided to not break the law because it's legally allowed, but rather break tradition by bringing in non-judges to the Constitutional Court?
Well, firstly, this has, of course, happened in the past. In the first Constitutional Court, there were several academics and practitioners. The head of the court, Justice Chaskelson, had never been a judge before. Obviously, at that point, because of the transition and because most of the judges in apartheid were not suitable to be appointed, that was the case, and that court was actually probably the most influential constitutional court in the world at the time. Now, the problem is that especially for the Constitutional Court, there has been a dearth of applicants. So people have not come forward to put their names forward to be appointed to the Constitutional Court, and this will help to address that. Personally, I think it's also important because the Constitutional Court is a bench of 11 judges to have a variety of different people with different backgrounds and different skills and experience on that court. And for that reason, too, I think it would be a good idea for the moment to have these the academic and the practitioners serving in acting positions on the court, perhaps with the view of permanent appointment later.
Now, this is the highest court in the land. Surely there are some requirements, some criteria that need to be in place in order for you to even be eligible. What are those?
Well, for all judges, the requirement is that the person must be really a fit and proper person, so honest, a person of integrity, and needs to be suitably qualified. It's not really said what suitably qualified is. And although the JSC has developed some criteria, these are really the kind of skills that you need, the kind of knowledge that you have to be able to do the job properly. That might be slightly different for a judge sitting in a motion court in the High Court, and for a judge sitting as part of a panel of 11 judges hearing a constitutional court case, constitutional case in the Constitutional Court.
My assumption is that, yes, issues of integrity and honesty are important, but in the academic sphere, do you have to come from a legal background? For example, do you have to be a senior lawyer or a legal academic?
Yeah. So I would think that it would be quite strange if you're not. You need to have the knowledge and the skill. So if you're not, I would think that for academics who's going to serve on the court, you would need to be perhaps a constitutional law scholar, somebody who is steeped in the constitutional law discipline, knows what it is about, and in that way will perhaps be able then to contribute in a way to the court's work, because you have special skills. If you're a constitutional academic, then that is your job, really, to know about the Constitution, and that might bring us different types of skills from, say, somebody who has served in the Supreme Court of Appeal for 15 years and now gets elevated to the Constitutional Court.
Pierre, let's look for a moment at the issue of non-availability of candidates. There's been a seat that's been vacant in the Constitutional Court since October of 2021. Twice the JSC couldn't sit because there were not enough candidates to present to the president. Why is it? What are the dynamics around this?
You know, it's difficult. There's always a bit of speculation if you're going to think about this. I would suspect that One of the reasons might be that for quite a long period, it was very harsh to go to the Judicial Service Commission. The commission, people's integrity, their dignity were really infringed on in a way by sometimes scurrilous attack. We remember the interviews for the position of Chief Justice, and that put off many candidates who might say, we don't want to go through that, it's really not worth it. The other possibility is, unlike with other judges in other courts, the Constitutional Court works this way, that the JSC sends up 4 names, if there's one vacancy, to the president, and the president then selects one of those 4 people that the JSC has said is suitable. So there's more of a political dynamic to it. So some of the candidates might think, well, I might be good enough, but I'm not the one that the president is going to select, so I'm not going to bother to put my name forward. Those might be 2 of the potential reasons why people have not been coming forward in the numbers that they really should, because this is the most important court in the country, and it should be an honor serving on it.
Are you inferring, Pierre, that in order to be considered for a seat on the bench of the Constitutional Court, that you do somehow need to have political favor, be in with the president?
It depends who the president is, of course, and it depends what the criteria are that the president is going to use. But the system, because the Constitutional Court is the court that has the power to declare invalid actions by the members of the executive and by Parliament and have a final say on that, there is more of a political input in the appointment of the judges, in the sense that the president has the final say, and that the president can select from the 4 candidates that are presented to him by the JSC. Yes, so by design, there is more scope for political influence. So if 4 names are sent to the president, one of those names is somebody, say, the president is, we assume, a progressive person. One of those people are quite conservative, don't really believe in social economic rights or whatever. The other one is somebody who's pro-poor, believes in transformation and so on. The president, if the president has that kind of politics, will select the latter candidate, and that's perfectly acceptable. That is how the constitutional designers envisage it to be.
Thank you so much.
Which is different, sorry.
No, please go ahead. Which is different?
Which is different from saying that the president should select somebody because they're a party member, because of one political party, or because the president believes that person is going to rule in their favor. That would be very different. That would be a kind of bad faith kind of appointment. But as long as the person is, but the broadly speaking, taking politics into account is not a problem.
Well, thank you very much, Pierre de Vos. That's constitutional law expert Pierre de Vos.